Hi, welcome to our channel True Up. Today we will discuss Huawei's withdrawal from Canada. Canada must pay a big price to remove Huawei's gadgets. After Canada's stance on Huawei and Meng Wanzhou, Huawei cannot comprehend or tolerate Canada's behavior. And Huawei declared its withdrawal from Canada, rendering all Huawei devices in the country invalid, while the Liberal government postponed a decision on banning the Chinese corporation on national security grounds. Canadian telecom companies spent more than $700 million on Huawei equipment. Huawei's Canadian sales of radio access network equipment, the equipment that links mobile phones or computers to networks, were around $300 million in 2018 and somewhat higher in 2019 in 2020. The business sold around $100 million in equipment to Canadian telecommunications providers, all while the Liberals said a decision on banning Huawei was coming, with that judgment likely in the coming weeks. Global News has reported that many telecoms businesses have sought the federal government for compensation, should they be forced to replace all of Huawei's equipment, and, given Huawei's considerable position in Canadian telecommunications networks. Even if the Liberals ban the business from participating in next-generation wireless networks, the corporation is likely to have a role in Canadian networks for years to come. Although Canadian operators have announced various 5G partners for their future network build-out. The reality right now is that Huawei equipment remains in current networks in most major Canadian cities and many remote regions of Canada, said Alikhan Velshi, Vice President of Corporate Affairs at Huawei Canada. Our priority will continue to be supporting our clients who have our equipment in their present network. Since 2018, the Liberal administration has been investigating Huawei's prospective participation in 5G networks. Close security allies such as the United States, the United Kingdom, and Australia have either banned or severely restricted Huawei's presence in their respective nations, fearing the Chinese telecom corporation would be instructed to spy for Beijing. Huawei, as well as Chinese Communist Party leaders, have strongly denied these allegations. However, Canada has been under great pressure from the U.S. administration to prohibit the business from future 5G participation. A blanket ban on Huawei equipment might result in large expenditures for telecommunications firms such as Bell, TELUS, and SaskTel, all of which are commonly thought to use Huawei technology, but Christopher Parsons, a cybersecurity researcher with the University of Toronto's Citizen Lab, said he would be surprised if the contracts between Canadian telecommunications companies and Huawei did not include some kind of compensation in the event the Liberals decide to exclude Huawei from Canadian networks. It would be very interesting to understand if there's anything in there that says if the federal government of Canada bans Huawei, then the equipment be returned to Huawei at some sort of a discount, Parsons said in an interview. If such is the case, it would imply that all parties are aware that the deck chairs are still in motion, according to a government source who was not allowed to talk publicly on Wednesday. Various telecoms businesses have approached the government to negotiate compensation if the Liberals opt to ban Huawei, a revelation originally reported by the National Post, according to the source. Ottawa has advised those corporations that the discussion is premature since the government has yet to make a decision on Canada's 5G future, after more than 3 years of research. Prime Minister Justin Trudeau stated on Wednesday that his administration will continue to follow the recommendations of our experts, intelligence and security professionals. We're working with the various telecoms to create a competitive market. But the safety and protection of Canadians is always on the table, Trudeau told reporters, without identifying Huawei. A representative for Industry Minister François-Philippe Champagne stated that the long-awaited examination into Canada's 5G future will take into account the country's allies' recommendations. We have been clear that we would follow a strategy that takes significant domestic and international issues into account, and that we will make the best choice for Canadians, John Powers said in a statement Wednesday. Huawei's Velshi, who formerly worked as a top staffer for both Prime Minister Stephen Harper and the Ontario PC Party, expressed hope that the government's choice will be based on technology rather than politics. The remarks come as Britain's Foreign Intelligence head, Richard Moore, issued a rare public warning on Tuesday about the dangers presented by Chinese debt traps and data traps. Moore, the chief of MI6, stated that China is now the single highest priority for British foreign intelligence operators for the first time, and that nations who allow Beijing access to key data will erode your sovereignty over time. Documents obtained by the media through access to information legislation reveal that military intelligence personnel are among the Canadian entities attempting to evaluate the impact of Huawei and ally policies on Huawei 5G access on Canada, when pushed for clarification. Military personnel provided little clarity on the scope of that duty. The Department of National Defence and Canadian Armed Forces work closely with our government partners and allies on an as-needed basis to provide subject matter knowledge and intelligence analysis/support on national security concerns, a spokeswoman said. The information included in CAF intelligence reports and briefings is classified. We cannot comment on the content of intelligence reports or briefings that we receive or share for security reasons for years. Canadian intelligence authorities have avoided naming countries that pose a security danger to national interests. However, there are indicators that the default position of secrecy is changing. SIS Director David Vigneault identified China and Russia as two nations who are aggressively pursuing Canadians in order to obtain geopolitical advantages in early 2020. You may be thinking, I'm not a national security expert. I'm a scientist, a company owner, a professor, and so on. I'm not interested in geopolitics, Vigneault stated in a speech in February 2020. Well, I can say with some certainty that geopolitics is an interest of yours. And it's critical that you understand how you might be put at danger and how to safeguard your interests. Vigneault notably mentioned Beijing's pursuit of digitally stored data research maintained on computer systems in small startups, business boardrooms, or university labs across the country, as he put it. Champagne addressed the problem of trust in high-tech during an interview with the Canadian press on November 8, stating that Canada only wants to engage on technological projects with trusted partners. While he did not identify Huawei, the remark has subsequently been construed as a reference to the company Huawei is no longer patient. According to reports, Huawei has just indicated that it will close its Canadian business, lay off over 4,500 people, refuse to grant 5G patents to Canada, exit the Canadian market, and withdraw Huawei technical experts. What exactly does this imply for Canada? According to the newest 5G patent report issued by German patent data provider Iplytics, Huawei occupies one of the four fundamental shortcodes as a member of 5G standard customization. As of April 2019, Chinese businesses had 34% of the world's 5G communication system SEPs, placing them number one in the globe. Huawei, for example, has 15% of SAPs and holds the world's leading 5G patent. Firms with SAPs can collect patent fees, and companies with important patents can develop 5G base stations, mobile phones, and other equipment at a reduced cost. This also allows for a speedier domestic deployment of the Internet of Things, and the number of domestic 5G base stations is growing, as is the popularity of 5G networks, which can be more flexibly matched and created from major base stations to tiny base stations. If Huawei abandons the Canadian market and refuses to permit important patents, Canada will have to find alternative technologies to replace and bypass all of Huawei's communication patent technologies if it wants to build 5G communication technology. This indicates that the building of 5G popularization infrastructure in Canada will be delayed since, even if Huawei's base stations are not deployed, other brands of base stations retain Huawei's intellectual rights. As a result, the equipment used by these communication firms must be modified and manufactured. However, it is difficult to avoid the crucial technologies. This is the main technology's power. Furthermore, we must identify the interpretation of authorization refusal. In contrast to the self-interested method taken in the United States, Huawei will be obliged to choose this route in the end. Question: which father in the world can stand to bully his children? A large number of employees providing high-quality technical services. Thanks for watching our video. We would appreciate it if you subscribed our channel and gave us a thumb. See you.